You are listening to Bedtime Dreamy Tales. Subscribe to our channel for new story. Story title: A Little Boy and a Little Girl. In a large town with countless houses and bustling streets, there lived two little children, Kay and Gerda. The town was so crowded that most people had no space for a garden. Instead, they kept flowers in pots on windowsills. Kay and Gerda, however, were fortunate. Their homes were garrets opposite each other, connected by a shared gutter running along the roof's edge. Each garret had a small window facing the other, and just one step over the gutter would bring Kay and Gerda together. Their parents, having green thumbs, placed large wooden boxes filled with vegetables and rose bushes across the gutter. These boxes created a beautiful wall of flowers between the two windows. The peas' tendrils hung gracefully, and the rose bushes grew tall, intertwining their branches and creating a vibrant arch of foliage and blossoms. Kay and Gerda spent countless hours sitting on little stools among the flowers, playing and talking. Winter brought an end to their rooftop garden adventures. The windows often frosted over, but the children found a way to stay connected. They heated copper farthings on the stove and pressed them against the window panes, melting small, perfectly round peepholes through which they could see each other. They'd giggle and chat through these tiny windows, their faces lit with joy. One day, as snowflakes drifted down, Kay's grandmother told them a story about the Snow Queen, a magical figure who ruled over the winter. One cold evening, as Kay was peering through his peephole, he saw a snowflake transform into a beautiful woman dressed in dazzling white gauze. She was the Snow Queen, and she beckoned to him with a cold, sparkling gaze. Kay jumped back in fear, but the image stayed with him. The next day, the sun shone brightly, melting the snow and heralding the arrival of spring. Kay and Gerda returned to their rooftop garden, delighting in the blossoming roses and warm sunshine. They sang hymns together and marveled at their flower-filled paradise. But one afternoon, as they sat among the roses, Kay felt a sudden sharp pain in his heart and something in his eye. He rubbed his eyes and blinked, but he couldn't see anything. Unbeknownst to him, a tiny shard of a magic mirror had lodged in his eye and heart, turning his view of the world cold and cynical. He began to see only flaws in the once beautiful roses, and even in his dear friend Gerda. As the magic mirror's influence grew, Kay's behavior changed. He became cruel and mocking, even towards Gerda. He found delight in teasing and imitating others, much to the townspeople's amusement. One winter's day, Kay, with his little sledge and large gloves, announced he was going to play in the market square. Gerda watched him leave, her heart heavy with worry. At the market, Kay tied his sledge to a large, white sledge driven by a mysterious figure wrapped in a fur mantle. The sledge raced through the streets, and soon they were outside the town. Snow fell heavily, obscuring everything around them. Kay tried to untie his sledge, but found he couldn't. The driver turned and smiled. It was the Snow Queen. She wrapped Kay in her fur cloak and kissed his forehead, numbing him with an icy chill. As they traveled through the storm, Kay forgot everything: his home, his grandmother, and even Gerda. The Snow Queen took him to her icy palace far to the north, where the days were dark and the nights were endless. When Kay didn't return, Gerda was heartbroken. She set out on a brave quest to find him, journeying through snow-covered fields and dark forests. Along the way, she encountered many helpers: a wise old woman with a garden of eternal summer, a crow who guided her to a royal palace, and a kind princess who gave her warm clothes and a golden carriage. Gerda's travels led her to the land of the Lapps, where a wise reindeer offered to take her to the Snow Queen's palace. With the reindeer's help, she crossed frozen lakes and snow-covered mountains, facing fierce winds and bitter cold. Finally, Gerda reached the Snow Queen's palace. She found Kay sitting on a frozen lake, staring blankly into space, trying to form words and shapes from blocks of ice. Gerda ran to him, her tears of love and sorrow falling on his chest. As her warm tears melted the ice in his heart, the magic mirror shards dissolved, and Kay's memories and love for Gerda returned. Together, they escaped the Snow Queen's palace, retracing Gerda's steps back to their town. The journey was long, but with each other's support, they made it home safely. The town welcomed them with open arms, and the rooftop garden blossomed more beautifully than ever before. Kay and Gerda's friendship, strengthened by their adventure, became a legend in the town. They grew up with a bond unbroken by time or distance, always cherishing the lessons of love, bravery, and the magic of childhood. If you like this story, please give this video a like. For more stories, go to bedtimedreamytales.com. See you in the next story.